Hi, Dr. Maury, Uncivilized Vitality, and I hate to say it, but I'm going to pile on the Liver King. Okay, so if you're on YouTube at all, or in the health and wellness field or area, because I obviously work with patients and stuff besides just the UV, but the UV does have the health and wellness aspect to it, the 5 vital paths. You are in that area, weightlifting and fitness. You're probably familiar with the Liver King. This guy got really big in social media during the pandemic, just like the Tiger King, really, but online presence. He's just a supplement salesman, basically a charlatan. And if you don't know, you should watch Untold, the Liver King. It was on Netflix. That's why I'm making this video, because I actually sat down the other night. Carrie and I watched the Liver King. While she slept, I watched. Just fascinated by how irritating it was. And there was one line in there that particularly prompted me to make this movie. At some point, some of his cohort were sitting around and they were doing an interview on some podcast in about 2022 or so. And one of the characters said of Liver King, and their method they were selling was, in order to move forward, we have to look back. And since the Uncivilized Vitality tagline is looking back to move forward for the last 20 some years, it seems like maybe they lifted that from somewhere. I don't know where that could be. So maybe Liver King bought my book off Amazon and decided to repackage some of the stuff. Anyway, the Liver King was this guy, great big jacked guy, obviously on the juice, on the works, a bodybuilder. Everybody knew that from the get-go. I think only Joe Rogan was the one that said it originally, and that's why he's all after, got a beef with Joe Rogan lately. And then there's a YouTube channel called More Plates, More Dates, or More Dates, More Plates. I don't know. I don't follow it, but he's the one that exposed Liver King a couple years ago, actually having the proof in some leaked emails where this guy was talking to, what's his name? Ben Johnson? Brian Johnson is his real name, where he had reached out to a doctor or an endocrinologist or somebody to help him with his, to tweak his steroids profile, his growth hormone and all his different things. And he was on like $11,000 worth of steroids a month. Again, not a big deal. Everybody that's that big is on some kind of performance enhancing drug, because nature doesn't make physiques like that, except extremely rarely. So this guy, the Liver King, had this online presence where great big jacked guy, and he ate raw liver, hence the name Liver King. And the whole point was he developed this lifestyle that he was trying to sell that was based on eating raw liver and doing all these different things he called the, what did he call them? The Ancestral Tenets. The 9 Ancestral Tenets. I guess they're 10 Ancestral Tenets now, but we'll go over that later. So he had this whole thing like, hey, follow my advice, get, basically look like him, get that super healthy, somehow also get rich, because that's the way your life would manifest. A lot of new age stuff there about manifesting and things. And most people, like Logan and Matt and I laughed about this years ago, ironically, about the Liver King. Logan came in one day and he said, did you see this guy, Liver King, online? And he shows me, he goes, he kind of does this ancestral primal stuff, and look at how jacked this guy is. And I'm like, he's jacked because of steroids. Obviously, we don't have the exposure that Joe Rogan has when he said it, but anybody could tell this guy was on steroids. So we kind of laughed him off, but he got really big. And the problem is, he's just lying about it. That's all. He was misrepresenting. He is what is called a snake oil salesman. If you don't know what a snake oil salesman is, take the time to Google that and learn about those. So that's basically, this Lion King is the snake oil salesman. You can watch lots of video about him online, his downfall. Watch that Netflix special. If you got an hour and a half to be amused, and you've got that kind of interest in things like the Tiger King and those sociological oddities. For instance, this guy agreed to have a Netflix special filmed that people were going to see, and in there he admitted to, kind of in a funny way, how he had scammed GNC when he worked there as a young man for his first job. He would take returns, people would return half-used products, and then he would take those returns, cash them out, and take them to another GNC and forged receipts and cash them back out to get money. He also admitted to counterfeiting, if I understand that right, counterfeiting money, making his wealth that way. And what else did he admit to? Illicit and illegal drugs. So he's a drug dealer. But he made all this money in these supplement companies. He owns tons of different supplement companies. Supplementation is fine, but it's just like the pharmaceutical industry. The supplement industry is wildly unregulated, and it's just, there's too much of it. If you eat a proper diet and do these things, you don't need the supplementation. But he was saying, hey, I eat all this liver, I do all this exercise. If you don't want to quite eat the raw liver and the cow head and other gross stuff he did just for like clickbait, then you could use my supplements. And he also was kind of a snake oil salesman here. Like a lot of supplement companies, he would say, oh, this is nose to tail pure nutrition. Another YouTuber just did a recent expose, and he investigated all of the sourcing for his supplements, and it turns out you get some of the beef from China, some from South America, some from here, some from there. They're not grass finished, they're not grass fed. The whole thing was just a scam, which again, should have been fairly obvious. But he was fun to watch in kind of a cartoonish way. And that Netflix special really drove it home. But when that guy said, oh, we have to, in order to look forward or to move forward, we have to look back, that made me sit right up. And I told my wife, I was like, oh, it sounds like, it could be a coincidence, but it sounds like he plagiarized our stuff. So let's talk about his 9 ancestral tenets. So remember, he said if you live a lifestyle according to these 9 ancestral tenets, and ancestral is just a buzzword, like primal. A few years ago, Mark Sisson, whom I really enjoy, he came up with the primal blueprint. He said, hey, just eat and sleep and work out like our ancestors did, and you'll have the health that they have. Obviously, I agree with that. That's some of the premise of the uncivilized vitality. Get that vitality or life energy back that the pre-civilized humans had, the ones that remain uncivilized. But of course, we take a bigger picture of that, kind of a primary cause, saying civilization as a concept is the problem, but we'll come back to that. Anyway, this guy says 9 ancestral because Mark Sisson used primal and paleo had already been used, so he settled on ancestral. Never really defines what it is, but he said the 9 ancestral tenets were eat, move, sleep. First of all, no brainer. These 3 are the prime physiological categories that make for health and wellness. So you have to address your nutrition, your movement, and your restoration. You have to. He's saying base this on how our ancestors live. He never really defines it, but eat like a caveman, move around more like a caveman, sleep like they did, which is fine. Then he had what are the other ones? Sun. You need the sunlight. Cold. You need cold exposure. Ancestral, not for all ancestors. Equatorial ancestors probably didn't deal with cold all that often. Fight, all right, that was one of them. Then he had connect, shield, bond. I think it was connect. Honestly, I probably could have researched this before I turned this on, but started filming this. So obviously, we're not going to disagree with some of those. But his whole premise was you follow these 9 ancestral tenets, and then you'll end up like him, rich and living the great lifestyle and all jacked and physically imposing. And it was just a scam. So people have obviously turned away from him, and his supplement sales have plummeted. He's hopefully dealing with lots of lawsuits and just the pure humiliation and embarrassment of trying to get away with that. And it's not like it was a misunderstanding. He went right on, he was all over the internet telling people he was natural, natty, as they say, no drugs, no enhancements. And people kept calling bullshit, but he doubled and tripled and quadrupled down on it. And then finally the truth came out, which should have been obvious from the beginning. And it undercut his entire program. So then I watched this Netflix special because a friend of mine said the other day, we were talking about this Liver King, because I guess recently he went crazy and has projected his troubles now onto Joe Rogan for some reason, and actually drove to Austin to fight him or something. I don't know what he thought he was doing, but he got arrested. It was online for a little bit. Very funny. Anyway, my friend and I were talking about it, and he said they got a Netflix movie, and it sounds like he copied like your Uncivilized stuff, and he asked me what the difference was. So I looked him up briefly, got these 9 tenets, and this is something that I wanted to clarify. So the Ancestral Tenets are kind of a good idea, at least these few, and I'll give them to you in terms of Uncivilized Vitality's program. But do bear in mind that he threw ancestral on there as just a buzzword to kind of hook that, and it was all a gimmick just to sell supplements. Okay, and then some of these have to be split up. Connect, shield, bond. This shield, I guess, refers to shielding yourself from EMFs and keeping your cell phone out of your pocket or not near you, which is smart. Not really ancestral so much because prehistoric people didn't deal with a lot of EMF field or EMF negativity or cell phones, but whatever. So in the Uncivilized Vitality, we have 5 areas where I make recommendations and I make 3 recommendations, top 3 recommendations in each area. We call these the 5 vital paths. And these are based on pre-civilized cultures. I did a sort of a factor analysis of sorts to see what was common amongst all people. The first 3, like I said, movement, nourishment, and restoration, these are vital to everybody, every human being. This is wellness, okay? Or health. This is health. The movement, nourishment, restoration. We make very simple, if you've read my book or got on Amazon to get that. Anytime you buy a book or like, share, subscribe to the channel, you like that, Rendell? Work that right in organically. Every time you do that, it helps boost revenue that supports our charity, and the charity is the Uncivilized Living Foundation. And the whole point of the charity is just to get people back out into nature. Take people camping or hiking or get outdoors that wouldn't normally be able to for whatever reason. Physical handicap, low socioeconomic means, inexperience, whatever. We take them camping and get them back out so they can live an uncivilized lifestyle. So obviously more to it than that, get the book. So these 5 vital paths are here. Oh, by the way, I should say, I don't have any supplements to sell. We don't have any products to sell. We're providing information, helping people become an uncivilized guide, ultimately, so they can live optimize their health and happiness. So here's back to the 5 vital paths, right? In the movement, for instance, we have 3. I'll just give you this right here. We have 3 small bits of advice. For movement, the first one is natural movement is vital. All right, and then we unpack what natural movement is. I'm talking about not bodybuilding, the exact opposite of what Liver King does. Once in a while he'll crawl around, but he's mostly lifting according to a reductionist philosophy where he's doing like buys and tries, a back and leg day or a push-pull day. Natural human movement is running, jumping, climbing, very similar to parkour or animal flow or Rafe Kelly's Evolve Move Play. I myself am a MoveNat master trainer from back in the day. Natural movement. The biggest natural movement, of course, is walking. It's the best thing you can do to maintain your body composition, blood pressure, anxiety levels, all the things, is to walk at least, they like to say 8,000 to 10,000 steps, but try to walk at least 30 miles a week, right? You can break that up, but natural movements are vital, okay? You should move, or we say play, on purpose. So spend time getting some movement every day. Build movement into your life. Park further away in the parking lot. Use the little carry baskets at the grocery store instead of the cart. Find ways to make movement a part of your life by looking for ways purposely to move through your day less efficiently. Carry things instead of using the cart. Make it a little harder. Take the stairs. Do things that pull more movement into your day, because we've become so efficient with our movement in civilization that we don't move enough anymore. You don't have to do anything crazy like, what's his nuts, Liver King here, and drape chains over your neck and carry 2 kettlebells and drag a 100-pound sled and walk around. No prehistoric person ever did that. They might carry back a joint of meat or quarter an elk up out of a valley like modern day hunters do, but they did the same thing we do. You get winded, you set it down and you rest a little bit, or you get some help. Okay? Our third bit of information, at least in the movement, was make friends with the floor. Okay? Right? Make friends with the floor. Basically, this means sit down on the ground. And like we've said in other videos, if you follow the program, Uncivilized Vitality, you want to spend at least minimum an hour a day sitting on the floor unsupported. Obviously more is better. That's the minimum, right? So making friends with the floor. So we give very specific advice under our movement that were common to all people, and I believe are the basis of optimizing your health and wellness. So the nourishment, we have the same thing. Real foods are vital. Eat on purpose. Occasionally don't eat. And down through all 3 of them, there are bits of information. He would have shielding from EMF. I guess we would put that under hygiene, right? That's just part of protecting yourself and taking a proactive approach. Sun exposure and cold exposure or weather exposure for us would also fall under hygiene. We would talk about how daily weather exposure is vital. That's the first step in hygiene. Sun and weather exposure, those are vital. You have to have them. So you should spend minimum an hour outdoors in nature every day. Even if that's just taking a walk, if it's doing a hike, if it's making time to be outside every day. Rain, snow, sun, heat, cold. Every day you should be outside for at least an hour. You'll see where we're getting into the Uncivilized Vitality is golden hour, where you could spend an hour sitting on the ground, unsupported, outside. Now you're killing 2 birds with 1 stone. And then under our restoration, we talk about daily quiet time is vital, and you should get a minimum of that, an hour minimum of that each day. So sitting quietly by yourself outdoors for an hour, especially at sunrise or early in the morning, one of the greatest things you can do for your health. And guess what? It's free. I don't have a supplement company that's going to mail you those things. There's no program that you pay for monthly to learn to do that. This is just free information. Fight, we would put that under movement, because that is one of the natural human movements is combatives and being able to protect yourself or run. So we put fight under that. What have we got left? Connect. If it is connect, let's put a question mark by that. Any Liver King fans that are watching the video, you can make some corrections. The thing is connect and bond. We put those under community. In Uncivilized Vitality, we talk about how stories and rituals are vital. Okay? Good stories, human beings are narrative animals. They communicate through stories. We formulate our entire outlook on reality through metaphor, which is a type of like a form of story, kind of. And then we have certain rituals and things we do. Both stories and rituals being vital center on honest intentions, right? Any stories that are told that are information's being withheld, like the Liver King, like old Brian Johnson or whatever his name is, information is being omitted or withheld, or obfuscation is going on purpose. That's a story meant to manipulate or designed to help you part you from your money. And that's exactly what he was doing. So he had some good ideas, which I tend to think were lifted either from mine or probably bits and pieces from other people. And then he threw them in there as a smokescreen. He ate the liver and the gross outs for, what do they call that? Interactions with your content. What do they call that? Clickbait. I don't know the words. I'm not very techie. Anyway, he did all that and used that as a smokescreen, and then used that as a way to anchor you into buying all his supplements, which evidently was netting him over $100 million a year with this. And he's finally come to an end, like all scams do. But you can see how his 9 ancestral tenets were just use of a buzzword, but were based on or similar to very solid information, such as the Uncivilized Vitality program, health and happiness optimization, which follows these 5 vital paths, and they're broken down very specifically in the book, the things you can do to implement those to optimize your well-being. So, like I was talking to my friend the other day, and I have to talk to him again after I've watched the Netflix special. The the Liver King had some similar ideas, but his were being used in the sense of like a snake oil salesman, just using them to bring people in and make himself hundreds of millions of dollars. So, in full transparency, if you buy me a coffee, that little link Rendell puts up here, or donate, subscribe, share the channel, any of the money we make goes right to the charity to facilitate doing the Uncivilized Vitality. So we appreciate all your help. Any donations you make or purchases you make that help us out, we appreciate that quite a bit. I'm not looking to make $100 million a year, but just enough so that the charity functions stop costing me money out of pocket would be super cool. So we go camping, because this gear and the transportation and the time we spend out with people teaching them how being in nature is vital and will help them, that does take some funding. So, okay, there's my rant about the Liver King. Do yourself a favor if you like that kind of like watching a car wreck in slow motion, this social collapse of these social media celebrities that build up and then crash right back down. So check that out. Untold, the Liver King. 9 ancestral tenets are a little bit more contrived than they need to be. And if you're interested in something like that without all the gimmickry and hype and nonsense, check out Uncivilized Vitality. Read more about this, or you can find all of it here on our YouTube channel, I'm sure. That's all I have. So like, share, subscribe, please. And that's it.